Hi guys, it's great to see you again. In this lecture, we'll design the login view in detail. In the design, our login view has a photo background, a button for anonymous login, and an image for this line right here, and this Google login button. Alright. Good. Let's get started. Okay, let's see. To display the background photo, we'll use a UI image object. So let's search for a UI image in the object library. Drag it to the login view and place it at the top left corner. Okay, resize it so that it fits the whole login view. Okay? We need to drag a resources folder to the project. It contains all the photos and icons for building the UI. So drag it here. Alright, good. Remember to check the option Copy Items if needed. Alright, cool. Now expand this folder. We'll see the background photo, the Google icon and stuff. Okay. Now, we need to link this background photo to the UI image we've just created to display it. So go back to the storyboard and choose the UI image. It's a bit easier to choose it on the document outline. Then, in its Attributes Inspector, in the Image field, choose the name of the background photo in the Resources folder. Alright, good. But it covers the buttons, so in the document outline, move the UI image above them. The buttons will show up. Alright, let's run the app. We wouldn't expect it to look nicely. Yeah, things are a bit messy because we haven't organized them responsibly. Now, let's customize the anonymous login button. It's pretty simple. There's only a border and some white text at the center. Okay, let's decorate the text. Choose the anonymous button in its Attributes Inspector, make the text a bit bigger, and choose a white color for it. Now go to the button's Size Inspector to specify its location and dimensions. You should play around with different settings to produce a UI you like. We tried several options before, and then we decided to use these numbers. Alright, let's see how it would look. Alright, we haven't created its border. We'll do that later in the code, and you'll see why soon. Okay, we'll get back to this later. Now, to display this line as before, we'll use a UI image. So, let's search for a UI image in the object library and drag it into the login view. Then, go to the Attributes Inspector to link this element to the photo we want to display. Alright? Cool. By the way, you can also draw this line and display the OR text in Xcode. But we already have the design, so we're just going to use it. Alright, the photo looks off, but we can fix that. Go to its Size Inspector and specify its location and size as we did to the other elements. Here we just want to follow the design, so place it right below the anonymous button. And make it the same width as this button, but a bit shorter. Okay, cool. By the way, you can hold Option and hover over the UI elements to see how far they are from each other. Alright, let's see how things look. We should have the OR line. Yeah, we do. Next, we'll custom the Google login button right here. So choose this button in the storyboard and get to its Attributes Inspector. Let's delete its title because we want to display a Google icon instead. And now, next in the image field, choose the name of the Google icon in the Resources folder. Then, in its Size Inspector, set its position and size to match the design. Alright, let's see. Looks good. Alright, remember to hold Option and hover over the elements to see if they're arranged nicely. Alright, let's see how things look. Okay, just working. Oh yeah, looks pretty good. Okay, we carefully designed the UI elements, but they don't look as neat as we expected. This is due to the mismatch between the sizing to perform and the screen size and resolution. So, let's fix the background photo. Okay. In iOS programming, we utilize auto layout to make the UI consistent on different devices. In auto layout, we add constraints to the views in this pin section. To make the UI responsive to different devices in auto layout, we specify a view's location and size relatively to other views. So let's add these 4 constraints to the background photo. We've just pinned this background photo to the edges of its nearest neighbor. In this case, it's super view, the view containing it. To make it work, a view needs just enough constraints, no less, no more, so that its location size can be fully determined. This diagram, right here, details the 4 constraints we've just added. For example, the line at the bottom says that we pinned the background photo to the edge of the super view. Here, right here, we added enough constraints to this UI image, so, alright, yep, it works indeed. Now, move on to the others. The basic idea of auto layout is to describe a view's size and location relatively to the size and location of other views. So, we'll lay out the Google button first, then constrain the rest accordingly. We also need to impose just enough constraints on each view. So we'll center them horizontally to match the design, and space them to each other vertically. That's vertically. That should give each view just enough constraints so that the system can determine their size and location. Alright. Let's uncheck this to space the button to the edges of its super view, then space it vertically. Let's fix its width and height too, because we don't want it to be resized. Add the constraints. The constraints diagram will show these vertical constraints. Alright, we know its size, we know its vertical location, but we don't know where it is horizontally. Be careful when adding horizontal constraints, because its width is fixed, and its super view's width, in this case the screen, is also fixed. So be careful with these numbers, because they must add up to the screen's width minus the logo's width. Instead, it's easier to just horizontally center the button in its container, or in this case, the screen. Okay, add the constraints. A vertical constraint will show up in this diagram, saying the button is horizontally centered in its super view. It's the view that contains all other views or objects. Alright. The Google button should now be horizontally centered and is spaced to the bottom edge the amount we put in before. Now, in the storyboard, choose the Google button again. We space this button to the view above it, which is the OR line. This can be seen in its size inspector. Alright, this top line says top space to OR line image. This also means the OR line image is bottom space to this Google button, right? So we don't need to add a bottom constraint to the OR line photo. So we're just going to go ahead and add a top constraint to this photo and fix its size. Then add these constraints. As before, we'll horizontally center it in the super view because we fixed its size, right? Alright, cool. We fixed its size, horizontally centered it, and located it 36 points above the Google button. That's enough to fully specify its size and location. Cool. Next, we'll lay out this anonymous login button. Because we've already added a top constraint to the OR line. This applied a bottom constraint to the anonymous login button. So, we don't need to do that anymore. Alright? So, we're just going to fix its size. Alright? And as before, we'll horizontally center it instead of specifying left and right constraints. There's only the bottom constraint now. So, yeah, we do need to center it horizontally. Alright, we don't need to add a top constraint to it, because the system now knows its height and how far it is from the elements below, and, consequently, how far it is from the bottom edge of the super view. Alright, great. This should be enough for the system to fully specify its size and position. Things should be arranged nicely now. Yep, they look just like what we expected. Alright, just one more thing. We haven't drawn the border of the anonymous login button, so intuitively we might think we can do that in its attribute inspector, but there's no border attribute in there, unfortunately. We can still do that in the identity inspector, but it's probably simpler to set its border in the code. So, Open the login controller file in the assistant editor. Then control-drag the button to this file to create an IB outlet. Let's give it a meaningful name, like anonymous button. Cool. We'll set properties of the anonymous login button via this UI button in the code. Now, set these properties in the viewDidLoad method, meaning when the app runs, we want to specify the properties of the anonymous button. Okay, so we want to set its border color and its width. All right. The UI label object, anonymous button, has property called layer. All right, so it's used to draw or shape the UI button in the storyboard. So to draw the UI button, this layer object is equipped with a property named border width. To set the border width of the UI button, all right, if we hold Option and click this property, we'll see that it's type of CG float. It's just a type of numbers. So let's put 2.0 here for the border width. All right, now run. CG float is kind of easy to use numbers for different precision machines, but our number is small, so it doesn't really matter. All right, great. So we have a border in black. Let's turn it white to match the design. Again, the layer property of the UI button has a property named border color to set the color of the button border. All right, so we'll assign a color to this property by getting one from the UI color class. We'll get a white color, all right, and convert this UI color to a CG color. We do that because this border color property is of type CG color. There will be a mismatch error if we don't convert the UI color. All right, great. All right, we should now see a beautiful anonymous button on the view. All right, let's move the simulator here. Great. Let's make it a bit bigger. Pretty simple coding for a great UI, right? In the next lecture, we'll design the chat view. See you then.